Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second part of the inaugural Rant Room live stream show. I'm Trixie, the Golden Witch, the Queen of Rants, here on the internet. Look at my big hat. It means business. Joining me today, in order to keep track of how long it takes for all of us, including me, to go on our spiels, is my husband, Bird. Say hello, please.
Hey, how's it going?
You have been doing an incredible cooking show with my second guest here, Mint Salad.
Hello, I'm the absolute unit.
The two of you have been having a burger off.
Yes.
Where is that going to be hosted? Where are people going to be able to see the burger off that you two are having?
Well, it's going to be on my Patreon
Patreon.com/ASC
Presents.
Excellent.
For ASC Daily. Yes.
For ASC Daily?
Yes.
I tasted those two burgers. I judged them. You can learn how I felt, whose burger I liked more, because they were both impressive when that comes out. Anyways, on this show, the way that this works is it's a rant show. First, I'm going to give a rant. I'm going to show everybody how it's done. Actually, I'll do that before I even explain the rules. Let's just go ahead. So, why are there no standards for drug use? You know, when you buy, like, over-the-counter drugs, it tells you exactly the dosage to take for the purpose you want. And granted, I don't take those as, like, gospel. I don't think that if it says, like, you have a headache, take 2 pills every 4 hours to see, you know, like, how the effectiveness is. I read that as, like, okay, take 6 pills if your head really fucking hurts. And take 2 pills if you're, you know, just kind of okay. And scaling like that tends to work with those drugs. I think we all probably have a relationship kind of like that with them. Maybe some of you really strictly follow the rules of the drug use. But, I mean, if you've got a throbbing headache and 2 Advil doesn't do anything, you know, you start scaling it up. I know I've seen my brother get up to a point of, like, 10 at a time. So, you know, obviously you can become desensitized to the drugs if you use them poorly. But when it comes to, you know, illegal drugs and even legal drugs that aren't sold traditionally, like, nobody tells you how much weed is the right amount of weed to smoke in a day. It's just like, I don't know, smoke weed all the time. It's always great. But that's not really true. You do become desensitized to it. There is a standard amount that you should smoke in like an amount of time. You know, if you start smoking out of stress, then you fall into a rabbit hole of needing it, of like, oh, now it's like an automatic response I have. Every time I feel a little bit of stress, I take another bowl, and you know, then all of a sudden you're too high to do anything. They're all meant to be tools. All drugs are meant to be tools. They're all meant to be something you use for a specific purpose. And, you know, the only people who can tell you about those purposes, nobody wants to hear it because they're like, oh, great, we have to hear about the drugs that you took, you know, and it's like, well, I'm trying to tell you that because I took these drugs, you know, I had this utilitarian experience that helped me in some way, you know, but like, it always is going to come off as like justification for your drug use. We need to be able to we need to have the level of comfort with drugs that we can also talk about their negatives, like, and you know, this also applies to trans people. We need to be comfortable enough with trans people that we can talk about the issues that, you know, that we have culturally, where there's lots of things that, you know, that I think there are legitimate criticisms of the trans community that come up that sometimes that are shot down by the fact that we feel like any action against us is like automatically like catastrophic transphobia, because it's like, yeah, but we're still fighting the battle to be recognized at all. And it's like, okay, well, part of that battle to be recognized is going to be sorting your fucking self out. You're not going to be recognized if you come off like you don't know what you're doing, you know? So like, we need to have that level of self-comfort that allows you to be self-critical, I think, in all these different avenues of life, be it for drug users, for trans people, for anything that just categorically, like, people are so self-conscious about the fact that people, like, you know, hate them for the fact that they are doing the thing. And it's like, you know, well, I just got a rant request while I'm in the middle of my own rant, so we'll throw that in here. Dr. Dingus with $5. Rant about Ethan the Gunt Ralph. You know, I actually just watched a video starring Ethan last night because he was on the Chrissy Mayer podcast, and it was a really interesting. It was an interesting watch, actually, just to see the breakdown in communication that happens when basically she keeps getting super chats asking, like, just shitting on him the whole show, and eventually he stops sort of being reasonable about it and starts to think like, you know, did you really have to read all of these mean things about me in a row? And it finally like reaches a cracking point when you know, she reads a comment and kind of giggles at it about his dead mom and some something very dark apparently that he really did actually do to her, and so, you know, her not realizing it was real laughed at it, and that just like completely set him off, and he went crazy. And you know, I watched the pattern of behavior, and I can't help but think that, you know, if you burn bridges with everybody who's nearby to you, if you make it so everyone who was willing to work with you hates you now, then your next mission is you have to go find someone else who will take you, right? But like, imagine like trying to go into a situation, pitching yourself as like a likable or personable guest for like a show, and you're Ethan Ralph. Like, it's the most difficult pitch you could possibly have, other than maybe if you'd been Digibro. So, you know, like, I don't envy that. So yeah, getting back to my rants, because I still have a few minutes to go on. I want to talk about unreleased content and the sad culture of content not getting released. Because on the show that I did yesterday, there were a lot of writers talking about their books that they've written. And then I would always ask, like, well, where is it? And they're like, it's not online. You know, I haven't gotten to that point yet. I haven't gotten to the point where I'm willing to show it to people yet. And get over yourself, because nobody who's releasing anything has gotten it to the point where they think it was actually like the best it could have been. You know, like, you just have to release shit you're ashamed of to get used to having released things, because that's a whole part of the experience. And if you don't get that experience, it's going to fuck you up in the long run. If you work, let's say, on a project for like 10 years, and you pour all your heart and soul into making it as good as it can possibly be, and you finally feel satisfied with it, and then you release it, and it gets no response, or it gets a tepid response, or a different response from the one that you expected, or you just like don't know how to, you know, how to market it or anything, you've just never experienced releasing a product, you're going to have no idea what you're doing. And it's way more complicated than you think. You don't just make a good thing and then people like it. If that was the case, then your favorite artist who isn't famous would be famous, but they're not. That's why that's why you're here on the internet with the, you know, people like me who are supported by people who find those independent creators that, you know, don't come up through the traditional avenues. So, you know, I encourage everybody strongly, release the goddamn content. Show us the book. I know it's not good. That's fine. We'll make it better together. You know, we'll all read the thing. And if you can't get anybody to read it, it just means it's that bad and you should do another one. Just don't even try. Like, there are I do get people send me their work sometimes and ask me to read it. I usually don't. I sometimes try. I can't get very far. Most of you aren't that good, and you know that. That's fine. But like, just keep going. You know, if it had been gripping, I probably would have finished it. You know, I would have responded. So if I didn't, then it might be a little bit damning to that work, but that's not damning to your career. You should have failures. You should have a bunch of stuff you sent to people that you like who didn't respond at all. Before it disappears, I just want to acknowledge this $5 super chat from Lynn009. No rant request attached to it, so thank you for that. And I'm getting towards the end of the rant topics that I had lined up, so I'm going to finish off my little 10-minute timer here by telling you the rules of this game. One by one, I'm going to bring, Mint is going to bring people into this mint salad, by the way, just to
Hello.
reintroduce. It's mint salad. You are a
Correct.
commission artist, portrait artist. You drew the Golden Witch character that dressed as.
I also did the logo for Yig Studios, so I did that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
You're currently drawing me as Raven from Teen Titans for the Sucker Punch album, which is a big hip hop project. We've got the Telegraphing EP coming very soon. Look forward to that. I think Bird is even going to appear on the Sucker Punch album. So it might be as ARI, Art Rivals Intelligence. That's your music project. You can find artrivalsintelligence.bandcamp.com. Anyways, he's going to be keeping time. So when Mint brings somebody into this call, they will have 3 minutes rather, to rant. And they can just go on about whatever they want for, however much of that 3 minutes. If you can't make it to 3 minutes, we're not going to force you. Just tell us you're done and we'll let you go. And then I rant about your rants. Did I agree? Did I think you did a good job articulating your point? I'm basically judging the rant, subject, and you as a ranter. And then I'll interview you afterwards, ask you some questions, try to figure out what's interesting about you before I kick you off. So, yeah, we're going to go ahead and bring in the first caller. Sorry, rant question didn't go through. Oh, from the $5 super chatter. Question is, what do you think the difference between being a creator versus analyst? Do creators need to have the themes figured out, or is that the analyst's job? I don't think you need to have the themes figured out. I think that kind of implicitly they just spring out of you. Like, I really don't think writers have as much control as people might think they do. Like, not to say that every sentence is written to be exactly what that writer wanted it to be, but that doesn't mean that all the implications of that sentence were something they had thought through before they said it. And, sometimes those implications might go against their intent, or it might reveal something about their intent that they didn't even, realize was there, a deeper intent, But, like, all of that is stuff that an analyst will break down and try to figure out, in retrospect. So for me, like, as somebody who got into creating original work first, my stuff just was so weird and not very good that I started analyzing work so that I could understand, like, what am I doing here? Like, what's helped me improve as a writer is going back and analyzing the early writing I did and figuring out, like, what was I trying to express and how can I do that in a way that actually makes sense now that I've seen how other writers do it. All right. Thank you for that rant request. We're going to bring in our caller now.
And he's in. Well, hold on. So pronouns. Alright, they want to be he, him. Yes.
Creator.
Just let her have the conversation. Take
Yeah, we don't
the
need to
notes
know that
and write
beforehand.
them down somewhere for her so she has them. Let her have the conversation.
Creator, are you there? You do seem to be muted right now. You gave them the roles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The problem is she's not talking to people in the Discord. He asked if he needed to be in VC. She didn't answer.
Ah.
She's not doing her job.
Creator. Can you... Hello. You're unmuted,
Hello.
but I don't hear you.
Sorry, I think there's a bit of a lag between the VC and the.
TV remote, anybody?
Hello.
It's not that.
Turn... If you
Hello?
have a...
You hear me?
Oh, whoa, there you go. Hello. Yes, we can hear you now. What would you like to be referred to as, and what are your preferred pronouns?
Hello. You're unmuted, but I don't hear you.
I'm sorry.
Whoa.
Let me see if I can get it to have you hear me.
If you are playing the... If you're still watching the YouTube video in the background, please turn that off, because I think I hear bleed through from that.
That's what's like super confusing me. I'm so sorry. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna watch back your response after,
Okay.
or I'll just listen to your response in real time. Sorry, I don't know how this works. Thank you for your patience. With that being said, my name is Brandon. My pronouns are he, him. That's totally fine. You can just address me by my name. And my rant is actually about my frustration with the dichotomy between like doing the shit that you love that doesn't really make money and doing the shit that you need to do and should do to exist and make money, because that's just the whole capitalism thing playing out. And yeah, man, that just pisses me off. Like, I spend entire days just like worried about a couple things, primarily like time. I'm always anxious about time because I'm like, oh my god, like I don't have enough time to do this or that, or like the thing that I want to do, or like I have to do all the errands and stuff like that. And I really get like bummed out and anxious, and sometimes the anxiety about like not having enough time to do the things that I like puts me in a position where I end up not doing anything at all out of like the whole like FOMO situation.
Mm.
And pretty much right now, I think you had a super chat stream the other day, and I was actually the one who mentioned the super chat about like what are your opinions on fighting games and stuff, because that is currently what I'm embroiled in. I pretty much play fighting games competitively. I have a sponsorship and stuff like that, and you would think maybe that does bring me a little bit of money, but really all it means is that I get to go to like my local scene without paying like the $10 weekly and stuff like that, and wear like a jersey. It's nice little novelty, but it really doesn't fulfill like the necessity of like making money and stuff like that. So it still is a passion. And then what I do for a living is like I'm an insurance agent, so that's like significantly less interesting work and stuff like that. So not only that, not only do I like get into like just fits of rage and anxiety about like time and how much I have to dedicate to the things that I don't want to do, the things that I have to do, and the things that aren't interesting to me. But then like whenever I do dedicate time to like my passions or my interests, it ends up sometimes manifesting into guilt, because it's like this time that I'm using on this could be spent on like XYZ, or like this other thing that I should be doing that would be more productive in theory. But I feel like that's just a lot of indoctrination from like just life, things that people try to shove down your throat and stuff like that. But there are things that I struggle with, and I don't know if anybody listening is like neurodivergent in any way, but for any of you that are, you can recognize that with either things like autism or ADHD, the desire to hone in on your hyperfixations and like your special interests and stuff like that is so powerful, it's so fulfilling, that it can feel like putting that stuff on the back burner to do just shit that isn't enjoyable but is necessary is an arduous process. And I really just I don't know if I'm really necessarily looking for advice or just venting about this shit because it pisses me off. I just wish I could have like, I wish I was Adam Sandler and Click with the little remote and whatnot, so I can just like spend
That's
as much
your time.
Yeah, that sums it up though. So
All right. So I am going to be a little bit harsh in my response here, because your rant comes off somewhat privileged to me. Okay, let me ask first, do you have money in investments? Do you have...
Unfortunately not. I recently, last year, I got out of about a pretty close stave with near homelessness. And I luckily got a job that really pulled me out of that. So I am grateful for that.
Okay.
I do want to.
But your job is pretty good, right? You have a little bit of
absolutely.
extra income you can put away?
Yeah, now I do. I think I'm just carrying a lot of like the fear of when it wasn't like that and stuff like that.
Here's the advice I'm going to give you because of the fact that you have a decent job. So right now, I'm in a weird position because I'm an artist, creative type, but I also consider YouTube and the main thing I do there to be sort of a day job, where it's not necessarily... I don't get to do the type of content I want to do the most all the time because it's not the most profitable. And sometimes that's because it's just not what I'm the best at yet. Where like, I've been doing hip hop for a long time. Only recently have I been like good enough with my releases that like hip hop people acknowledge it when I play it for them, and they don't have to asterisk it and say like, oh, this is good for like a bedroom production or something like that, And so like, if it were up to me, I would have at some point been able to just completely abandon doing YouTube and just make albums I was passionate about. And I did do that, and I lost a lot of money, and it hurt my career really badly to like take that aside and try to do something else. So I appreciate where you're coming from in that respect. I absolutely want to be able to, to take those asides and do that other stuff. But I also have to appreciate that the only reason I get to do what I do is that people respond well to what I do. And if they don't respond well to it, as sad as that might be for me, it's just like I can't make an excuse for why why they don't like it. You know, it's like if they don't resonate with it enough for me to have a career off of it, then that's kind of my fault because I'm not relatable or I'm not talented or whatever it is that's disconnecting me from them. So on the other hand, though, you know, even the stuff that I am celebrated for, I wasn't great at when I started. I built that talent up. You know, I spent years wanting to drop out of even high school to pursue the thing full time and just not being able to because not enough people liked it. But the most important thing I ever did in my career, what started my career, was when I wanted to become a YouTuber, I got a real job just for a little while so I could buy all the equipment to do it well and practice. And, you know, I didn't leave that job until I was making money and people were making it clear that I didn't have to do that anymore. What I would advise you to do is be proud of the fact that you have a good job, put a lot of money away into investment, and then when you get to a point like maybe 4 or 5 years from now where you have continued practicing in the background at the thing you're actually passionate about, then you have this huge savings where you can take a year off of work and just hone in on perfecting that craft, you know? But like that's the kind of huge risk you have to be willing to make at some point when you're going to jump onto the like, okay, I'm going to be a creator or else I'm going to be doing this day job and creation's always going to be a side project, you know? So, but I would encourage you to keep doing that main job until you've got that, you know, put some of that money into investments, buy a house or something. I don't know.
No, yeah, that totally makes sense. I do appreciate your response. It is interesting. I thought that it would be a good subject because I felt that you were someone who maybe did to some degree interact with these dynamics with you know your professions and stuff like that. And I think the thing that most stands out is that I am definitely grateful for the job that I have now because like you said, like it does provide in a similar way, like it provides the financial ability to do the thing that I want to do on the time that I do have to do it.
Yeah.
And I guess I didn't really think too much, or I'm always too focused on the moment where it's like, I feel like I don't have time right now. I feel like it's suffocating me. And I don't even think about like, oh, well, in 4 or 5 years, I'll have this amount of money saved on these investments and stuff like that. So
sometimes it's hard to count on the idea that you'll like be alive in 4 or 5 years, but you got to count on it because otherwise, you know, whatever you're building won't have been for anything anyways when 4 or 5 years comes around. But yeah, I don't know. I like that you took the criticism that way. You seem hopeful. Is there anything you want to plug or promote while you're here?
Hey man, play Guilty Gear Strive, play fighting games. They have been one of the most enriching things about my life. I've had multiple different kinds of like nerdy interests that I've gone hard on, and I'm a very competitive individual. So
what other than fighting games?
Card games, like League, MOBAs, stuff like that. I've always like been really embroiled in that since I was like really young.
Yeah.
I'm very perfectionist at heart, but what really saved me from like that bout with near homelessness last year was when I found my local community. I actually opened a GoFundMe for the first time in my life, and they are actually the people.
Oh
who
shit!
Sorry, there's
tornado warning.
There's tornado alarms fucking buzzing all over the room all of a sudden. Jesus Christ!
Until 9.
Just hit the Okay, fuck me. That scared the hell out of me.
Oh man.
Sorry about that. Continue what you were saying about your GoFundMe.
Basically, the fighting community really pulled through for me and pulled me out of that situation. And I think that people just look at things like as a video game on the surface, and that's totally cool. But getting involved with your community can really give you a big sense of like social purpose and like you never know who you might meet.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping this show will also provide to people. Thank you for coming on. We're going to bring on the next guest right now. So see you later. Mint.
Hold on. Who's the next one? Next one.
Oh, wait, before that, there's a super chat.
Oh, yes, that's right. Herbert Hitoshi with what looks like Russian $20. How can someone become prolific to make content? What kind of mindset do you have to write, and what should be? I would say the mindset you have to have is just like, I don't want to do other things. Like, it helped for me when I was in the period of like really exploding as a writer that I was doing it during class, like in high school. So it was opportunistic that, you know, I had a few classes where I knew I could get away with it, so I did. And then when I was at home, it was the main thing I did. So like, yeah, it really just comes down to if you enjoy writing and want to be doing it instead of other stuff, then that's a big part. And I don't know what he meant by "and what should be." What kind of mindset do you have to write, and what should be? Well, you should be writing, just should be writing and release the stuff. You know, it doesn't have to be like to like a major platform or anything. Like even just release it to family members or something. Like get somebody to have heard the thing so that you can gauge their reaction, even if it's just their lack of reaction. You know, like whatever it is, figure out what you can do to get the reaction you're looking for. All right, we're gonna bring in the next guest now. Oh, they're already there. You can unmute yourself.
Good evening.
Hello. Let us know what you'd like to be called on the show.
Albany.
I know, but we have to have them reintroduce themselves each time, right?
Every time.
I can do that.
Hi, Albany, who has been on the show yesterday. What's up?
Good evening. Hi, my name's Albany. I'm 26. I have she, her pronouns, and I'm in Oakland, California.
You are officially the first returning guest on the Rant Room. So, congratulations.
Thank you.
And you were also, I believe, the first caller on the Rant Room yesterday as well. So,
Trying to get all those points.
yeah, you're literally raking in the medals. All right, go ahead and launch into your rant.
I want to rant about how there is no God. We are
Perfect.
all like sentient individuals, and I'm mostly referencing when I had went to a magic shrooms convention. There was a woman there who was the widow of the man who was like pioneering like the study of magic mushrooms and of doses and stuff, and she was a witch herself. I was able to get a blessing from her at the end of the convention. And you know, they talk about like the chakras and stuff, and I've always thought that kind of thing was kind of stupid, and you know, like along the same vein as horoscopes, where it's like, why would you believe in something when, you know, it's like you got to base off your experience here and now and stuff like that. But then like after listening to her lectures and then seeing how it connects more to my life, like I actually wanted to be like, what's the word, like a student. I wanted to be like a disciple of the mushrooms, because I'm like I think the max I've taken is like 5 grams or 5 ounces, sorry. And I'm like very aware of like how death can be not like that you have, not that you have a life after death, but that, you know, I I truly don't believe that you just see black, or that you're absent of feeling and emotions like when you die. Like I have a feeling that your spirit like does travel somewhere, you know, and it doesn't stay on the earth or whatever. But I really do think that like, and you know, she said this herself, that if something demands to be worshipped, it is not God. And I took that to heart, because I freaking grew up Catholic, and you know, like I've had my mom like cry in front of me when I was like taking confirmation classes about how like she didn't think I was like entrusting in the faith and this bullshit. And I was just like over it at that point. And I was like 14, you know, like I did, even I knew at that age that like God isn't really something that is tangible, or that's something I should rely on. So I feel like the Satanic Temple does a good job of trying to uh, reach a higher autonomy of how like individuals should conduct themselves. So I feel like more things like that should be accessible, and especially with their after school Satan club, where it's like a program dedicated to teaching children, not to like indoctrinate children into Satanism, but like just to have an alternative to like Bible after school Bible study or something like that. So I really do think that if they're doing something to promote that message, that it should be embraced kind of like by anybody who
That's it. That's your time.
prefers. Okay, thank you.
Wow, I was definitely not expecting a Satanist rant today, but now I understand why you like my music so much, because everything is devil, man. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, I don't know if I agree that I think your soul continues on after you die. Personally, I have more the morbid thought that consciousness just stops. But that doesn't mean that you're not like spiritually continuing on. Obviously, your components return back into the circle of life. I appreciate the world as a macroorganism. I like thinking of it that way, that like it's all one spirit rather than independent, individualized spirits that have like a life essence beyond death. That's just me. I do like what you were saying about being a like a student of the mushrooms, because I have heard from other psychonauts, shroom people, that the mushrooms sort of talk to you and appear before you if you take enough of them, and will guide you along. I've heard similar things about walking the Appalachian Trail. I was watching someone's like film length vlog of their Appalachian Trail thing, and he was talking about how he had heard from other people that they would hear the voice of the trail guiding them sometimes, and he was like, what the fuck does that mean? And then like months into, or however long, it's a very long hike, at some point he heard the voice and was like, what the fuck? But I do think that, the more attuned you are to your surroundings, the more you sort of feel that vibe and that connectivity and realize like, oh, I'm not a separate entity from this thing. We are communicating more than just like on that thought level. So yeah, I appreciate all that radical shit, dog. I can't wait to start doing more shrooms myself, because I've only done so many. How long have you been doing shrooms?
2020, when it was quarantine.
Okay, this is a new path of discovery. What's the coolest discovery you've made on shrooms?
I would have to say it would be my first sitting. It taught me a lot about how I thought about myself, because I kept calling myself stupid basic bitch over and over. And even my partner like had warned me that like when you take shrooms, it's going to reveal like some of your trauma to yourself. And I feel like that was very much in line with how I went through like depression a couple of years ago, and how like the remnants of it was still in me. And even though I say I've gotten over it, I feel like now that it's been like 2 years, I feel like I am having a sensible idea of who I am as a person, separate from like my trauma. And it's not anything like bad or anything. It was just like, just feeling lesser than everybody else, really.
I relate to your feeling of your brain just putting you down all the time. Mine likes to picture me getting torn to shreds and beaten to death and things like that. And I'm like, why do you want this for me? Why would this be it? Why would this be your goal? No, kind of kidding.
Mine likes to play the chicken song over and over and over and over again.
Which one is that? Oh, that one. I used to get "This is the song that never ends. Yes, it goes on and on, my friend." Some people started singing it, not knowing what it was,
When I was
and they'll
on my
continue
last
singing it
trip-
forever just because it is the song. Everybody's trying to cut me off, and nobody's gonna be able to do it. I'm sorry. What were you saying?
Something along the same vein, where like my last shroom trip, I had the song by Ariana Grande looping in my head, like "I'm a dangerous woman." That was it.
Do you have anything you want to promote while you're here today?
Yeah. Take shrooms. Do research
Just
on what
shrooms
magic
itself.
mushrooms can do.
Big time shrooms cast here. Big drug endorsement podcast here. The Rant Room. Thank you for
I would
coming on.
definitely recommend to do it like if you're over 25.
Yeah. Don't mess up your brain when you're young, unless you like, unless your brain's already so fucked that it's the only way out. All right, thank you for coming on. I have to answer this quick super chat from Kira Lou, who was on the show yesterday and did great. For $2, random, but do you like soda? Lots of soda thoughts. I must. I'm drinking this Mountain Dew Voltage, which historically I did not like, but I've been fine with it just as a source of crazy caffeine and sugar to get the energy to do these rants. But I prefer tea. Soda's not great for the throat. Oh, we got Riley back. Riley, what is up? You're muted right now, but you can make yourself know that. Hello.
Oh.
Hello. What is up? How you
Not
doing?
much.
You are also a returning caller from yesterday, and I liked your
Yeah.
rant, so I hope you're prepared to deliver again.
I got a good rant. I'm ready.
Go for it.
All right, today I'm ranting about working in a call center because it sucks, and it's a double-sided coin, right? Because on one hand, it's been a steady job. I've had it for almost 2 years at this point. The staff likes me. I'm looking like I might move up at some point. I'm in a good position. But on the other hand, fuck call centers, okay? I sit there every day and it's like the most monotonous thing, saying the same things day in and day out. It's driving me crazy. It's been driving me crazy for a very long time. I'm going off the rails here. I literally, at night, I will be laying down and going to sleep, and I will hear calls in my head, and I will have to actively out loud say, "This is not real, go to sleep." Like, I have to do that often. It's become an infection in my brain, and it's just like, I run out of breath all the time. It's so bad. I don't like it. And it's like, it spoiled me in a weird way, because I feel like I'm trapped because I don't know how it would perform in any other job. Like, I don't know how to fucking mop a floor. I don't know how to flip a burger. I don't know how to do any of that shit because I've been sitting in a chair in an air conditioning room taking phone calls for 2 years, and I can never escape. It's an endless void. I can't escape. It's over. I take calls and I do them, and that's just all I do. It's what my life has come to. It's what I will do for the rest of my life. I will die in that call center, and that is the most tragic fate ever to befall anyone in history. It's truly a sad place. It's my purgatory. It's literally purgatory. And that's, I don't like it. How much time do I have left?
You still have a minute left if you want to use it.
Okay, so yeah, and it's like I'm grateful because I've made so many friends there, but like all of my friends, we bond over hating our jobs. Like that's what brings us together, is a mutual hatred for the thing that we do. And I also don't make enough money. I just want to buy weed, and I can't buy weed because I don't make enough money. It sucks. I just have to spend it on food. I can't spend it on weed, Trixie. I want weed, and that's the rant. That's the end.
I get you. Okay. Riley, not to be an asshole, but they train you at jobs to do the jobs. Like, you don't have to know how to flip the burger before you get the job. They train you how to flip the burger. You just have to prove
Fair.
that you are trainable, which if you've had a job consistently for 2 years, you probably are decent at doing work. Like, basically, any regular job that's not like something you have to go to college for, it's the same skill set. They just want to know that you can like take orders and do repetitive tasks. But there's not going to be a ton of repetitive tasks. It's going to be something you can learn to do in like 3 days, and then you just have to keep getting better at it every day forever. But that's every regular job. So I would encourage you, if there's one that has a better growth path, or maybe, I don't know, it sounds like your job, if everybody hates it who works there, then it's probably not worth staying, because it doesn't sound like there's a higher echelon of it that where it gets better, or like where it's worth doing. Like, there's some jobs where it's like, oh man, I could see running this place. And then there's other jobs where it's like, oh man, I could see leaving this place in 3 months once I've gotten whatever I needed out of it, So, like,
I've said that to myself several times, and here I am 2 years later.
you gotta do it. You just gotta pull the plug. It's not that hard to find another job. Well, I mean, I don't know how the job market is where you live, so I'm not gonna. But if you see a hiring
great
somewhere,
Everywhere right now, the
is
job
great.
market, it's great.
Is that true? Or are you being
It's true.
facetious? Okay.
Everyone's hiring.
I didn't know that. Well, yeah. So go ahead. Just something that's going to get you on your feet. It sounds like it could be air conditioned, but do a job that's going to get you on your feet. You'll feel better. You'll move around, get your blood moving, stuff like that. It's good for you. This advice. I saw a lot of people in the chat who are like, "This rant is for me. This is exactly how I feel."
Hell yeah.
All of you. This goes to all of you. I'm telling you, they train you at the other job. I personally am confident that I could do any of those types of jobs. The only reason I don't is that I can make weed money on 2 afternoons of streaming, and that will always keep me out of a normie job. I run out of weed and I go, let me just live stream for the next 2 nights, and I got weed again. So, but yeah, you'll get there. I
and
think
a house eventually.
call centers have the highest turnover of any job there is. I don't know if you knew that. Specifically
I think you
telemarketers.
told me
but-
this a year ago on Twitter too.
It's true. I mean, it's impressive. Okay, I shouldn't say it's impressive. It's sad that you're still there. You need to leave because if you end up there for 9 years, you are Maddox. Just so you know, like every year that you're at a call center, you're that much closer to Maddox. So you got to get out. Riley, tell us about your podcast.
Okay. Shit. Oh, hold on. Discord fucked up for a minute. I make a lot of podcasts, but I'll shout out a particular one. It's the headliner of the Riley Podcast mega feed, you could say, but not for long. It's called Largest Issue in the Galaxy, and no, it's not similar to any other show you've ever heard of. It's very different from anything that's ever been on the internet before. And it's
Incredible.
where me and my good friends, Mo Diggity, Demi Gloom, and Andrew
All
talk
friends,
about
good people.
all the issues that plague our galaxy. And we've been going strong for 98 episodes, and we've decided to bring it to an end. So we're about to have our tight 100 episodes and say goodbye. So go listen to all of Largest Issue in the Galaxy. Complete it.
You're not
100
going to
episodes.
108?
No, we're not getting to 108. Demi Gloom really wants us to, so we can invite Dick Masterson, but no, it's over. Killing it now.
Well, yeah, that is very Maddox-like.
Listen, we're starting a new show. We'll get that one to 1,008. I fucking swear.
Shout.
That's not, so you can only have one 108th episode. You are just ruining the chance for this one entirely. So you have to do it all the way over again. Like, if you do a podcast with 1,008 episodes, you're not going to get to have Dick Masterson on your podcast every... Yeah, it's only 108.
Right.
It's not like
Yeah, the counter doesn't keep going up. It has to be
That's
108.
true. I know.
So I think this is just my advice. You have to go to 108.
Go to 108 and use that episode to at least promote the new show you're doing.
Yeah.
Because
It's the
Riley is in
largest
like
galaxy.
our Riley is aghast in disbelief at the idea
First
that
you
you're not
spell your
going to
name
108.
Fuck.
I can't. I literally can't fucking imagine being this kind of a Riley right now.
Listen, I'm okay. You're starting to convince me. I'm starting to reconsider my stance.
Boy, you should. Shout out to Mo Diggity. Last year, there was a time that I booked a hotel and they fucked me out of my money and didn't give me a room, and Mo gave me and mint $30 each because he
Holy
heard
shit.
about it.
Fuck
So
yeah, Mo.
Shouts out to Mo. That was sweet. Riley, thank you for coming on. I'm going to answer some super chats before we bring the next person on.
Hell yeah. Talk to you guys later.
Starting here, right?
Yep.
All right. We've got €5 from Goio _. What are your opinions on knowledge and learning? Knowledge. I think you should always stay learning and always stay trying to gain more knowledge. I don't think knowledge is as important as perspective ultimately. I mean, they kind of go hand in hand, but like learning how other people think the world is will teach you more about why the world is the way it is than like just raw knowledge of information, because like people aren't acting on information, they're acting on perspective. So I think that, knowledge is great, learning is great. You need both. If you get too focused on, this is like the difference between book smarts and street smarts, I guess, to use some colloquialisms. But, I'm somebody who I am not great at learning. I'm not somebody who learns apropos of nothing. If I am working on a project, I will learn a whole bunch of stuff really fast for the sake of that project. If I need to learn how to do something, I will get completely fucking choked up unless somebody is there to teach me how, basically. So I would consider myself a poor learner, but knowledgeable heavily in the things I have learned about. But I encourage people to always be trying to learn something. Try to learn at least something every day if you want to keep your brain functional and not get Alzheimer's when you're old. John L. Curry with $5. Favorite non-anime animated films. Ooh, what was that one we watched? Was it called Summit of the Gods? Was that the name of it?
They said non-animated, though.
No, non-anime animated.
Yeah. It was in
which
French.
it was a
Let me
French film that was based on a Japanese manga, but it's about climbing, and it has some insanely tense scenes. It's a tragic but gorgeous movie about free climbing in the fucking Alps,
The
and
summit of
and,
the
and
gods.
trying to set a certain Everest record. It's a movie that, having seen Emp Lemon's video about the history of Everest records, it feels like a direct sequel to that video almost in a way.
Code Lyoko is my answer.
Code Lyoko's fun. My favorite non-anime
Does it have to
animated
look
film.
like No, okay.
outright.
Fantastic Mr. Fox. I really love that one.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm not gonna dwell
don't
on
have
that
one?
too much. Yeah, Mint, do you have a favorite non-anime animated film?
A non-anime,
Animated.
the Iron Man, the Iron Giant.
The Iron
That's a good
Giant.
one.
That is a
Yeah,
really
yeah.
good movie. I'm Superman.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Just recently saw that finally get full circle commercialized into the him showing up next to trailer
Multiverses.
in the multiverses. It said showing up next to Superman.
I'm
I think I
really
said next
excited
to
for it.
trailer just
Next
now.
to Superman. Yeah, that was really incredible. I'm
The
so
network
happy.
with $2. You got Coke? No,
She
I
has
don't
Mountain
have.
Dew and beer.
I have Mountain Dew and beer and weed, because I don't know if you mean Coca-Cola or cocaine, but I don't have either one. I got Delta 8, yeah. Sneaker Jacks with $2. I have a sneaker and hat addiction. Well,
I'm happy for you.
I mean, tell us about your coolest sneakers and hats, I guess. All right, that's all the super chats. We're going to bring in Illusion now, a guest returning from the old Void Gazers podcast. The new Void Gazers podcast can be found on the ASE Presents channel, the one with the avatar that you can see right behind me. ASE Presents. Probably unreadable with this lighting, but that's all good.
Thank Faith.
Huh? Oh yeah,
Hey,
Faith,
excellent show.
Faith Vickers for the design up here. She's the one who quilted this. Hello, Illusion. Is that what you want to
Hey.
be called on this show? And what pronouns would you like to use?
Sure. I just decided that they then would be good because I was just called, just been told, "Man, calm down" in the chat, and that's an accomplishment by my standards.
Okay.
Anyway.
You ready to rant?
Yeah.
All right. Your timer is starting. Go.
Sure. So, when it comes to your video about isekai and about Mushoku Tensei and stuff like that, I got really miffed about your argument. What is the first isekai? Mainly because you seem to only be going to anime as sources for stuff in your recent videos, and that is and I'm just miffed because you don't go to primary sources, and the literary classics. Like, I think that a lot of people don't really benefit from being taught classics in school, but this is this is exactly the one example where going to Gulliver's Travels, for example, or Bible or Epic of Gilgamesh, or the Greek myths and stuff like that, and going for the old good stuff is really important, and it's also important because these classical texts show up as references and primary sources for art all over different shows and stuff like that. So I really I get really angry, mostly inside most of the time, when people argue about culture or and stuff, and they dismiss the Bible. Why would people read the Bible? It's such an old, stupid book, and first of all, have you read the Book of Apocalypse? It's wild and weird and stuff like that. And second of all, everything references the Bible. you can find so much of new stuff in the old stuff that it's remarkable, I'd say.
Alrighty. You sound a little nervous, Illusion. Are you feeling all right today? A little shaky. You had a lot of ums in there. Just want to know.
Yeah, well, it's like 3 in the morning, and I haven't slept before.
Fair enough. Fair enough. You are coming from all the way from in Eastern Europe. Well, would you describe where you're at as Eastern or Western Europe?
Central Europe, but for
Right.
for the big countries, it could be counted as Eastern.
So did you actually catch my video, Interesting Isekai Info I Learned from My Comments?
Yeah, I did.
So, because I feel like I kind of addressed the issue you're having here in that video, because it was about, like, there were people who brought up, old literary stuff and asked why I didn't bring that stuff up, and I talked about how my perspective tends to end up being kind of limited to anime, because, like, when I'm researching for an anime video, I'm thinking, like, all right, what's every isekai anime? And as soon as I open it up beyond anime, then it's like, well, isekai has been around forever and in all media. So it's like, am I going to include every isekai that's ever been important? Like, I can't make a strong argument for where to make the cutoff. I know for a fact that a few of them that were mentioned and were talked about in that follow-up video, like Alice in Wonderland or, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, like, yeah, those are hugely influential in Japan. I know Japanese readers would know those stories. They would have grown up with them the same way Westerners might have, especially Alice in Wonderland. So, like, it is fair to bring up some of those things in the conversation, especially if they have a lot of cultural impact. But at the same time, like I said, I'm not trying to encompass absolutely everything. And ultimately, I like when the commenters can fill in all the gaps of that. Like, there's going to be gaps in what I'm going to cover in every video I make. I want for people to continue researching, and the easiest way for people to do that is to go read the comments. I love that commenters will suggest all the other things I might have missed, and that's why I made that follow-up video to, highlight all of that. But, like, I think we have to acknowledge these videos. This is something that I struggled with in the past, and that I think lots of creators in particular struggle with, is that you have to view your content as an ongoing conversation. It's not cut and dry. It's not a fucking finished product when it comes out. And it's unfortunate there are people who are going to see these videos independently in a void and never see any of the rest of the content or see the updated opinions or whatever, the new takes, and become a real part of the conversation because those people don't care enough. They're just kind of flittering through. But the second one of those people tries to participate in the conversation,